Ji, Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Islam, Hashir, how are you? I think we should wait for another 5 minutes. And then we can start the session at 4:05.
So I've disconnected my headphones. I think there was some problem with them. So can you repeat again? Yusra, can you repeat again?
Okay, I was saying that we can start the session at 4:05 so that
Great.
more students can join.
Perfect.
Thank you. Students are joining. Let's wait for another 3 minutes.
Sure.
Okay, I think we should start the session. First of all, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everybody. So today's session is about job search strategy and action plan by Hashir Mahmood. Um, okay, let me just give a brief introduction. So he has done his undergrad from LUMS and his master's from UNSW Business School, Sydney. And he has worked as a project manager in SERP. Besides that, he has worked as a category manager in Dastagir, and currently he's a management consultant at Tollbridge. So now we'll officially start the session. I'll hand over the mic to Mr. Hashir.
Thank you so much, Yusra and the LAMS Career Service Office team for giving me this opportunity to have a very frank conversation with people who are at university and at the place where I have studied about 10 years ago. So, just to give everyone, Sahib, please just switch off your mic so that we can have a very smooth conversation. I'm sorry, I'm just calling you on that. So thank you. Okay, so just to give you a brief introduction about myself, but the prime motivation for today's session is to make sure that the challenges that I faced while I was graduating from LUMS should not be taking the light out of you, especially since considering the fact that the job market is very tough and we have to undergo a lot of different challenges, which I'll be talking about in today's presentation. So I thought, why don't I share my personal experiences based on the job application and subsequent when you have found a suitable opportunity. So has anyone, just before starting, has anyone actually Googled my name or search about me? Feel free. No. You sorry, you don't count. I'm just asking the fresh grads from LUMS. So yeah, this is just a small question. Anyone can volunteer or raise your hand. Okay, no one. That's great. So that is the number one learning that you will get from the session, and that is basically to research about your potential interviewer or employer before going to an interview or when you are connecting with someone. So that's the first lesson that you need to do. So we'll talk a lot about in detail about the research process and the planning process before actually applying for a particular job and going to an interview. So I'll be giving you a brief introduction about myself. So today's session, after the introduction, I'll be talking about the potential career pathways after graduation, the different job search strategies that you need to do, and lastly, the strategies for success at the job. Are my slides visible? Yusra?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, just to give you a brief introduction about myself, I am a graduate of LUMS. I graduated from LUMS with the distinction in 2015. After that, I have about 8+ years of work experience in both public and private sector. I did my master's in international business from UNSW Sydney on Australian government scholarship, and I have certifications from Wharton, Google, Notion, CFI, and so more. So these are the different kind of companies that have worked in the past 8 years, both as a consultant and as an employee. So before we jump on to the boring part of the presentation, I just wanted to share a link of a Google form. It's going to be a small quiz, and each and every one of you is going to fill that quiz in about like 8 minutes, and the winner, the top three students, can get resume slash CV slash LinkedIn review from me. So I'll be sharing out the link in the comment section. Just go over there and in about 8 minutes we're gonna not, yeah. Sorry, my internet is slow, so you might have to wait for a couple of seconds before the link actually appears.
Come on, everyone. Go to the link, fill this form up, and you'll get a chance to get your CV and LinkedIn reviewed by Hashir. Get your CVs revamped, get up and fill the form.
So we'll stop at around 416.
For those who have joined now, Hashir has sent a link in the chat box. You have to fill the form. Okay, so we have another participant. Um, Hashir has sent this link in the chat box. You have to fill the form, and the top three students will get their resumes and LinkedIn reviewed by Hashir. So it's a very good chance to get your resume revamped. Hurry up and fill the form. It's in the chat box.
Wow. I'm seeing the results, and in fact, a lot of people have actually filled in and correctly, in fact. So we'll just wait for further for 4 minutes and then um, talk about the results.
So we have 38 people here in this 39. Usman just joined. Um, Fill the form and you'll get a chance to get your CV reviewed. Hurry up, guys. We are left with just 3 minutes. In fact, 2.5. Come on, guys. It's a very short form. I think it won't take much time. Come on. You're left with just a minute. Great job, Saddam. Ashir Hussain is here.
Sorry,
Resend it. Kulsum says, can you resend it?
the form link.
Yes, because she's
Okay.
unable to fill it.
Oh, okay, okay. Because she joined late.
Hashir is also here. Hashir, can you fill the form? Um, Hussain, Hashir Hassan. He's very regular in our series, in this entire mentorship series. Hassan, yes, Hashir
Okay.
Hassan.
So time's up, and the winners are Mr. Muhammad Daud Shahid. I don't know how he completed it in about like 2 minutes and got full marks. I'm quite intrigued, and I just wanted him to give us a brief introduction about and insight about how did he filled the form so quickly. Second is Mina Tariq, and third is Ms. Sahir Salim. So, if you can give us a brief introduction about yourself, and I'll be in touch with you, inshallah, soon in reviewing your resume. So, just a brief one or two introduction. First Dao, then Mina, then Seher.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes, we
can.
can.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Daud. I just graduated from the class of 2024 from STSP, and I've been working a remote job as of now. But unfortunately, that's not what I want to do in the near future. So I'm joining the session to find out how I can improve the way I search for jobs and the way I can, get better at interviews. So, and the way I was able to fill this form out so quickly is because I've been doing a bit of my own research on the entire job process. So I would say I'm a little decently aware of what a good application and what a good interview looks like. But again, I would love to learn from people who've been there, who've done it all. So that's why I'm here.
Great. Mina?
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for doing
Okay.
this session. Like Daud, I was also a part of SDSB. I did my major in management science, and currently I'm on the job hunt for roles in product and the fintech landscape. And honestly, I joined this session because I really miss the LUMS community. We don't get this as much now because we're not students anymore. But yeah, so I thought it'd be a nice interactive session. Over to Sahar.
Assalamu alaikum. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
So I am Sahar Salim, and I was a management science major. I have recently graduated, and the reason why I joined this session is because I've not been able to land a decent job as of yet. I've reached the final stages, but the offers that I got um, were only offering a very small compensation, a very poor compensation package. So I want to see where I'm going wrong with this.
That's great. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing your insights and for giving us your time in filling the forms. Yes, a lot of you will, especially from the business school, will have quite a decent idea. But even if some one or two things you learn based on experience that I've undergone while working in almost all aspects of the related to the job application, whether it be applying for jobs in the public sector or applying for jobs in the corporate sector or working in consulting firm or working in a startup space. So I have worked in across all of these different jobs, and uh, if even if you learn just one thing, I think that is good enough for me, because maybe that one thing could help you finally land your dream job. So just going through the potential pathways after graduation, I've divided them into three particular. Um, Let me just see whether you guys can. Are the slides moving, or can you guys see my?
Hashir, we are on the first
No,
slide. We
the
cannot.
slides are not.
So that's the one I think I needed to confirm. Thank you so much. I'll just share again. Yeah. Okay. Can you guys see now?
Yes.
Okay. So can you guys see the slide for potential pathways after graduation?
Yes, we can.
So I'll just adjust my view and so coming back to the presentation, they are divided the presentation in, like the potential pathways after graduation into three particular parts. The first one is academia, the second one is the job, and third one is the home start. Basically, you either pursue a career. This is specifically particular to people who have just graduated, or uh, or have like 1 or 2 months of experience, and now they want to explore different pathways. So the first pathway is academia. In academia, the best route is, if you want to succeed in this particular pathway, you need to have a PhD, and as part of that PhD, you need to have an RA-ship, and either with a leading professor in your particular interest, and you need to publish at least 3 to 4 business papers. So there are a couple of, there are, in fact, 3 to 4 major scholarships like Fulbright, Australian Awards, DART for Germany, Chevening, or Commonwealth for UK. And the primary reason for getting into the scholarship is to focus your answers on how your degree will actually help in the development of Pakistan, or actually add to the knowledge base currently in the country. So that is the first route. And if you want to, uh, let's say, if you can't handle, let's say your personality type is such like you can't work under pressure for continuously for a long period of time, or you want new challenging projects, or you're really good at research that you found out while studying at lumps, and you have a lot of ideas. So that potentially academia is a very good path, and eventually uh, it's a very secure path if you need job security in the long run, and there's no uh, lesser amount of, let's say, uh, politics, or like dealing with such kind of issues if you shift to pursue this particular career. So that is my advice. Uh, that is the first option that you should do. The second one is to pursue a job. Now there are three different factors that you want to explore. First one is whether to pursue a job locally, abroad, or pursue a job remotely. For locally, I would advise go through the list of companies that are provided by Career Service Office during a career fair, I'll provide the link too. I'm sure Yusra can provide that too. The reason I'm saying to start with those companies is because they are vetted by the Career Service Office. So there is very negligible amount of fraud or which is very prevalent in Pakistan. So these companies have been vetted by the Career Service Office, and the salary will also like approximately resonate with your expectations. Second, the most once you let's say decide to pursue a job locally, the MTO applications or management trainee programs of majority of the companies is a good pathway, because eventually uh, you will end up uh, in the managerial position in about 4 to 5 years. So it's a very steep and steady pathway. The only drawback is there's a lot of competition, and in pursuing, because there are limited seats in the management training officer programs of a lot of companies. So the best strategy is to practice the tests, which are psychometric tests at your level. Go through GRE or GMAT if you are preparing for that. These are also very good resources for practicing those tests. And it's not about your intelligence, rather it's just about uh, managing your time effectively and making sure that you get a lot of the answers correct in these type of tests. So it has nothing to do with your ability or your your creativity in terms of that. It's just a mechanism where they shortlist students or graduates and then interview them. At the interview, uh, normally the good strategy is to have at least 6 to 7 different stories using a star approach. I'm sure most of you know that. For those who don't, this is first explaining about the situation, the different tasks that you did, the actions that would actually help you to achieve certain amount of results. So always quantify your results and show your achievements in this format, that when I was working at XYZ, I did XYZ task at this particular and tried to solve this particular problem, and it led to this amount of impact in that particular scenario. Then you need to always send your cover letter with resume, so that uh, a cover letter is just one pager, and normally resumes are at your level also one pagers. So uh, use the format of Harvard or LUMS, and they are quite similar. So if the format of LUMS is also very good, just use that. And in fact, the brand logo of LUMS actually helps you to land in. But if you're applying for a very big company, there is a possibility that you will be, you know, going through an ATS friendly algorithm. So the good, the best uh, points in terms of tailoring your resume is basically, again, using action verbs, leading, spearheading, so on and so forth, in terms of describing yourself. And in terms of interviews, they will ask you about both behavioral and technical questions. And lastly, at the end of the interview, prepare 2 to 3 list of questions. This is just a brief overview. Today's session is not about the resume or cover letter. Today's session is about the job application process as a whole. I'm sure you'll get a lot of deep insights later on. So abroad, one of the good approach in terms of at the fresh grad level, because if you apply directly, they will a lot of the companies in the Middle East, specifically, and abroad, other countries, they require experience in the local market in which you are applying for. So I would advise go for firms who come at LUMS. For STS students, PwC Middle East is a very good route. You get to not only complete your training period in these companies, but also get higher qualification like CFA or ACC or ACCMA. And for non-STSB students, you can work in their consulting or assurance advisory part, where you can work in HR, marketing. So it's a very good route if you go through that. But again, you need to have a very clear understanding in terms of the costs, because they're just going to give you an offer, and then you need to calculate the cost in terms of the financial cost, like rent, travel, medical, so on and so forth. And another important thing is the homesickness part. Like if you don't have a lot of friends and you end up, let's say, working in some European country where there are a lot of Pakistanis or Lemonites, you need to think before going or adopting that particular option. And lastly, remote jobs. If you are okay with working doing night, so the US jobs, they pay the highest, and it's a very good opportunity for you to work internationally and work in firms which are not prevalent in Pakistan, but do hire people from LUMS remotely. So I would suggest go through the remote jobs that are being offered through the LUMS channels, and I'll explain those channels later on. And the third and most important part is whether you want to do your own startup or do freelancing. In terms of your own startup, you need to have a budget for sustaining without getting any profit for at least 3 years. That is the bare minimum. I have run my own startup for about 1 year, and based on the learnings that I've developed while working on that particular startup, you need to have that kind of mindset. I mean, you need to develop an MVP. A lot of founders mistake that we can make a very fancy pitch deck and that's it. We can just float it to all the VCs and all the early investors throughout the world. That won't work in the current scenario. In the current scenario, you need to have a concept that your business idea works. And which I recommend is to go through incubators such as NIC at LUMS. They fine tune your deck and also your idea and help you develop the minimum viable product or MVP, which is like the basic functioning, and that will help you in the long run if you want to be a startup founder, because it's not a cup of late for everyone. It requires a lot of uh, resilience and a lot of failures, because it's not a product, but the biggest challenge while running a startup is actually turning it into a profitable venture and getting your customers frequently on a long-term basis. So these are the quite big amount of challenges if you want to work in the startup space. Freelancing initially, I would recommend do find your niche. Like it could be digital marketing, it could be financial modeling, or so on and so forth. But be prepared that this will not provide you initially the sustainable amount of income or salary if, that you can get from a job. So ideally, use it as a side hustle until you get long-term clients, and then once you get long-term clients and get enough amount of income, you can then choose this as a freelance business that you can do in the long term. But initially, don't just focus on this. Be prepared for the cycle of highs and lows. Can you see
Abdul
the next slide?
Mukeet has a question.
Ji, please.
Yes, Abdul Mukeet.
All right. So I have two questions, sir. First of all, तो ये कि if I am planning to launch my own brand, my fitness brand, so मैं उसके लिए products launch कर रहा हूँ. So will this be considered a startup? And secondly, if it is a startup, तो NIC उसको grow करने में और उसके लिए जो हमें MVP बनाने में जितना help करेंगे, will they be charging something for it, considering that कि मैं एक rising sophomore हूँ and I don't have so much funds to handle the situation?
That's a great question. A startup is simply जो आप जीरो से स्टार्ट करें, और नॉर्मली एक यूनिक आइडिया, एक यूनिक पर्सपेक्टिव होता है. तो आपका जो ब्रांड है जो आपने स्टार्ट किया है, दैट इज अ यूनिक आइडिया. मेरे ख्याल में आप अमेजोन पे सेल करने की बात कर रहे हैं, ई कॉमर्स की बात कर रहे हैं.
Not exactly on Amazon. Fitness products के बारे में मैं बात कर रही हूँ.
So you let's say fitness products के बारे में you want to establish an e-commerce website, और आप पूरी पाकिस्तान में उसको फिटनेस प्रोडक्ट्स को एक्चुअली सेल करना चाह रहे हैं. इज दैट द
Yes.
बिजनेस साइड? सही है. तो यहाँ पे NIC will actually help you to identify the target market. उसमें आपको leading investors के साथ link कर देगा. Plus they will help you in linking you with a lot of grants initially, कि आप उन्हें बताएं कि ये इस तरह का, लेकिन the major idea is what problem you are trying to solve. अगर कोई यूनिक प्रॉब्लम नहीं है और उसमें एवरीबडी इज डूइंग दैट एंड देयर आर लॉट ऑफ competitors इन दैट पर्टिकुलर स्पेस, बहुत मुश्किल होगा वो आपकी एप्लीकेशन एक्सेप्ट करे. आपका जो सोल्यूशन, हाउ इज दैट यूनिक, बिकॉज दैट इज नीडेड टू हैव अ सस्टेनेबल बिजनेस मॉडल, अदरवाइज आपको तो लोग खा जाएंगे. इसलिए यू नीड टू वर्क ऑन दिस. एक तो यूनिक आपका जो सेलिंग पॉइंट है, नंबर वन. सेकंड इज कि आप इन द लॉन्ग रन किस तरह सस्टेन कर सकते हैं इन दिस पर्टिकुलर डोमेन, और वो आपका कंपेटिटर्स के साथ कितनी कंपेटिटिव स्पेस है जिसमें आप ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं. इफ इट्स अ वेरी यूनिक थिंग, तो दे विल हेल्प यू in terms of funding, in terms of advice, and finally in terms of expanding you, expanding your potential. और वो आपको वर्क स्पेस भी फ्री दे देते हैं, तो आपको रेंट भी ऑफिस का नहीं पड़ेगा इनिशियली. जी, does anyone have any other question, please?
Hashir, we can take the questions at the end.
Can you guys see the next slide?
Yes, we can.
जी जी, please. uh, uh, can you see the next slide?
Yes.
Okay, related to job application journey. Yes or no?
Yes, we can, guys.
Okay.
You can unmute yourself and say yes.
अच्छा जी. तो the job application journey के different the whole circle, it represents the process. It's a quite a journey. जिसका first part is research and prep, जहाँ पे आप you need to identify your career goals and objectives. You need to do some research, जिसमें initially मैंने आपको बोला कि about your recruiter, about your uh, future boss, because even if you find yourself working in companies which have toxic cultures, you will have a very comfortable life if your boss is really good. So a boss का अच्छा होना in terms of growth and development is 80% much better in your career than finding the best company or with uh, fancy tag names and so on and so forth. And you need to research about their vision, culture, current position क्या है, are they in industry में, like will they grow, या एक डेढ़ साल के बाद डाउन साइजिंग कर देंगे. ये भी चीज़ specifically it's quite relevant in the startup space. I've seen that in the last 2 to 3 years in a lot of startups, because in आपकी current market conditions were not favorable, they have done a lot of downsizing. So you need to be careful कि आपका ये ना हो कि 6 महीने बाद you are back to 0-1. सेकेंड, रेज्यूमे और कवर लेटर जो मैंने बता दिया कि आप अपनी क्वांटिफाई करें अपनी अचीवमेंट्स को, यूज एक्शन वर्ब्स, लिंक्डइन पे प्रोफाइल बनाएं, करियर पोर्टल लम्स का है, जॉब पोर्टल, वहाँ पे प्रोफाइल बनाएं. सॉरी. और जो आपकी जॉब्स वहाँ पे पोस्ट हो रही हैं, लिंक्डइन पे पोस्ट हो रही हैं, वहाँ पे अपनी प्रोफाइल एक कंफर्टेबल बनाएं. वो लेटर ऑन मे बी यू गाइस मस्ट हैव अटेंडेड सेशंस ऑन हाउ टू क्रिएट कंपेलिंग समरीज, सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ, और अपनी ब्रांड बिल्डिंग किस तरह कर सकते हैं इन द अर्लियर सेशंस. Another important thing that I need you guys to focus on is the 30-second pitch. That is, in fact, in my experience, this is my personal insight, if you have a really good sales pitch, your resume, cover letter, they will help you to land to an interview. लेकिन interview के अंदर अगर if you don't have a very good 30-second introduction about yourself, chances are कि वो interview बहुत जल्दी ख़त्म हो जाएगा. So you need to practice that in maybe with your friends or in front of your mirror, या आप record कर लें अपने ऊपर, just write it down. और इस तरह करें कि जिस तरह आपने अपने आप को अपनी like how uniquely you can identify yourself as a brand, distinguish yourself from others. It can be academic achievement, मतलब you might have a good GPA. It can be very good society experience. You might have gone through leadership positions and so on and so forth. Or it can be about the technical skills, especially if the job is technical. IT space में data analytics में कोई अगर आपने courses किए हैं, just highlight those, because you need to distinguish yourself. Otherwise, you and a lot of your friends, in fact hundreds of your friends, will offer the same kind of pitch. So it's very difficult for the recruiter to actually select you based on the other profiles that they have. So second last is networking. Networking में I'll say कि एक तो आपके पर्सनल कनेक्शंस है. A lot of people say कि ये तो जी रेफरेंस इज अ वेरी बैड टर्म. दीज आर जो आपका ये नेटवर्क है, these are your assets. They will help you get in the door in terms of landing the first interview. उसके बाद तो आपने खुद ही करना है. So try to utilize that. फिर उसके बाद इस तरह के सेशन या किसी और के सेशन, just google the name, उसको LinkedIn में डालें और उनके साथ कनेक्शन अपना बनाना शुरू करें. Then start posting about your own achievements and stuff, so that you get highlighted amongst the network that you have. और वहाँ पे उनको पता चले, अच्छा जी मिस्टर XYZ मिस XYZ ने ये चीज़ें की हुई हैं या कोई नई चीज़ कर रही है, and they may reach out to you for a potential job opportunity. Lastly, you need to seek feedback from your you could say your peers, your mentors, जो कि internships पे या your professors, और ट्राई टू मेक श्योर कि जो इंटरव्यू आपका लेट से एक हुआ है उसके बाद नहीं हुआ, तो क्या रीज़न है कि क्यों नहीं आप नेक्स्ट स्टेज पे गए. वो अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल मे यू बी सरप्राइज्ड कि अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल मे एक्चुअली गिव यू दैट यूनिक इनसाइट, और फिर उसके बाद वो आपको हेल्प करेंगे लेटर ऑन. सो एक केस स्टडी भी मिलती है आपको आजकल असेसमेंट सेंटर्स में भी, और नॉर्मली भी a lot of companies they do offer these case studies. उसमें you need to prepare for behavioral questions कि वो एग्जांपल मांगते हैं कि लीडरशिप, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट मैनेजमेंट, फेलियर, वीकनेसेस, टीम कोलैबोरेशन, की अचीवमेंट. आपने सिर्फ उसको एक्सप्लेन इसी तरह करना है कि जस्ट अ शॉर्ट वेरी कंसाइज 30 to 40 सेकेंड, इससे ज़्यादा उस स्टोरी को आगे नहीं लेके जाना. उस स्टोरी को ये सिचुएशन थी, इसमें ये टास्क हुआ, ये एक्शन हुआ और मेरा ये रिजल्ट. दैट विल हेल्प यू डिस्टिंग्विश योरसेल्फ फ्रॉम द अदर्स ड्यूरिंग द इंटरव्यू. फिर उसके बाद दे ऑलवेज प्रिपेयर फॉर रिस्पॉन्सेज के वाई क्वेश्चंस बहुत ज़्यादा पूछते हैं कि आप क्यों, वाई यू, वाई हमारी कंपनी को क्यों ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं, वाई दिस रोल. सो इसके लिए यू नीड टू हैव वेरी डिटेल्ड अमाउंट ऑफ responses when you are going to an interview. This is related to research before the interview or assessment center. Second is practice for consulting. वो आपको normally market sizing या इस तरह के cases देते हैं, तो उसमें the good idea is use your intuition. Normally start एक बड़े figure से start करें, then करें. और online test के बेहतरीन एग्जाम्पल ग्राफिकल वंस में a lot of students struggle, so use the GRE GMAT if you don't have. और इंटेलिजेंस में simple, it's not a rocket science practice है. You can find out patterns in different वो psychometric shapes जो आपको देते हैं. You just need to find out the next pattern. That will help you to ace those tests. And finally behavioral में one of the things I think you cannot be एक अच्छा impression will last a very long time. So if you have a very comfortable demeanor, अगर वो आपको press भी कर रहा है interviewer, which they will do just to gauge whether you can handle pressure and receive negative feedback, you need to smile. You need to take 10 to 20 second break where you can formulate your answer. Just speak in short sentences. उसमें ये चीज़ें नहीं होंगी. And you need to be formally dressed. And you need to make sure that you are leadership material who can take initiative and act as a team player. A lot of XYZ, a lot of people, ये बड़ी common mistake है, they don't highlight the collaborative effect. In fact, when you go to these jobs, you need to work with a lot of teams. So you need to show them not only you are a good leader, but also a good team player. So strategies यही है कि just list down your key strengths, competitive advantage जो मैंने पहले बताया, फिर उसके बाद know a set of skills that can be transferable to multiple jobs. आप JD पढ़ें, don't be afraid कि आप 100% मैच नहीं करें in terms of experience. Even if you match the job with 60%, you can learn the technical skills on the job. You just apply it anyway. So at recruiters, hiring managers normally at this stage are looking for the aptitude towards work. And so if I just wanted to give you my example. For example, I can land a job with a business degree in the NGO sector, working with economists, you can too. It's just about how you tailor your responses and you convince the recruiter that you have the requisite skills which are needed for that particular job. And no company is perfect for everyone. Usually small companies में लोग नहीं चाहते, लेकिन it's a very good ground for growth and development. And do not just limit yourself to one particular sector या mode या type. Apply to all the kind of jobs that are relevant. मतलब 60% relevant है. उसमें लम CSO का ईमेल के थ्रू और कनेक्ट पोर्टल के थ्रू जो जॉब्स आती है उसमें अप्लाई करें. लिंक्डइन लम्स के फेसबुक पे ग्रुप्स हैं वो ज्वाइन करें, उसके अंदर जो पोस्ट आ रही हैं. If you are into public sector तो पंजाब जॉब पोर्टल UN के जॉब साइट्स हैं वो. एंड फाइनली द नेटवर्क. These are all the different places where you can get very credible job listings और वहाँ पे आप अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. Next is once you land in the job, there are a lot of issues which are currently faced. Do not expect कि आप चूंकि very tech savvy हैं और आप instant text और you're global entrepreneurial तो आपके ideas को उतनी acceptance मिलेगी if you go into a company. That won't happen. You need to work initially to 2 to 3 years in this and get through the grind before actually having that say with knowledge specifically in a bigger company. और generation X को किस तरह deal करना है, क्योंकि most probably Gen Y initially और फिर Gen X आपके साथ होंगे. So you either Y or relate to either Y or Z, उसमें you need to make sure कि you need to sell them the why this particular idea is useful, and they will be resistant to change to your ideas and everything. So you need to be very patient in terms of dealing with people from different generations. Now during the job hunt you will face a lot of challenges like rejections after maybe at the job stage, job application stage, at the interview stage, or any stage of the process. And the strategy for success is to first seek feedback from the recruiter अगर possible है. अगर नहीं है तो treat it as a learning step और आपको खुद पता चल जाएगा. हाँ मैंने वो एक situation interview में तो आपको पता चल जाता. Then apply to as many jobs as possible where there is a 60% match. Even expect that कि आपकी majority of your applications will be rejected. लेकिन if you get your foot in the door in 10 or even 5 companies, that's good enough. और second इसमें कोई मतलब कि there is you might face success and there is no success after 3 or 6 months. That causes a lot of hope, lose of hope, energy and anxiety. तो आपको ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि career gap आ रहा है, so that might be a negative thing because I'm not getting a job, and they might say कि अभी तक क्यों नहीं आपको किसी और opportunity है, specifically after 3 or 4 months. उसमें you just do some activity where you convince the recruiter कि मैं कोई productive काम कर रहा हूँ during this gap. It could be freelancing, it could be a part-time job, it could be pursuing a course, it could be volunteering. तो ये चीज़ आपको उसको सेल करनी है. फाइनली peer comparison is very common. उसको तो मिलती है, मुझे नहीं मिली जॉब. It's all about तकदीर और किस्मत, because at the end it's a human centric game. A lot of the recruiter may like one particular person at one particular point in time and may not like that person at another point in time. So do not overthink. Initially जो एक क्वेश्चन था कि मुझे बहुत सारी कम अभी सैलरी पे ना जाएं, initially have that job offer. If the culture is good, have that job offer with lower salary, just get your foot in the door, accept it. मेरी ये रिकमेंडेशन है, later on keep on applying, और उसकी बेस पे आपको एक अच्छी जगह पे मिल जाएगी. लेकिन अगर आप अभी इनिशियल स्टेज पे नो कह देंगे ना, तो आपको कभी भी नहीं मिलेगी वो अपॉर्चुनिटी, एंड यू विल रिग्रेट कि मैं तो वो मेरे पास वो आई है, मैंने वो भी नहीं. So a lot of people in this sector have started at a very lower amount of salary, लेकिन later on उनकी growth इतनी तेज हुई है because they have struck, they have entered the foot in the door, और वहाँ से they have moved around and found a very good opportunity. So there is no steady one particular strategy. Every case is quite different for everybody. And lastly, a lot of you would say कि जो advertised jobs आ रही हैं वो real हैं. Well, some are hoax too. They are quite used as advertisement or dummy jobs too. तो इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ कि लम CSO list को, और अगर if you know about the hiring manager recruiter posting that job, that is fine. Then apply it. Otherwise, don't simply basis on कि net पे job listing आई है, that might be real. And उसके बाद don't assume कि recruiter may know your technical skills. You have to explain them in very common basic language, that you how do you own, let's say, that particular skill. And do not assume that you have a university degree, so एक mundane task आएगा photocopying or copying बनाने का for your boss. That these things happen, and they are just these tasks can be taken from your boss, and they're just checking your aptitude initially. So मेरी advice यही है कि initially for the 2 years leave the ego at home while you go to work. Treat it as a learning opportunity, और किसी चीज़ को अभी no ना कहें, because initially you want to learn as much as possible, and don't just be back down and job hopping शुरू कर दे. Initially just stick to one particular job for 2 years, फिर उसके बाद switch करने का सोचें. Then कि जी यूनिवर्सिटी ने मुझे सब कुछ सिखा दिया, तो मैं अभी प्रैक्टिकली भी वही होगा. नहीं, द केसेस दैट यू हैव डन, दीज आर गुड in terms of the thinking process, but do not expect कि आपका जो बॉस जो उस यूनिवर्सिटी से नहीं पढ़ा लेकिन उसका जो प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस है वो आपसे ज़्यादा है, तो he or she might know a lot of things which are quite different from you. And finally, मेरी एडवाइस यही होगी कि uh, you need to have a lot of patience, because और ब्यूरोक्रेटिक प्रोसेस है, तो जो मैंने आपको पहले कहा कि अगर आपके आइडियाज सुने नहीं जा रहे, इनिशियली नहीं जाएंगे, लेकिन when you reach to a managerial position your ideas will count. So initially आपका focus is just, the number one priority should be on the learning part. And these are the last strategies कि आप do not react with any, because there are you are dealing with humans, so you will face a lot of negative stimuli, and do not find fault, and just have patience, chup karke focus on your learning. Be grateful for every little positive thing, and finally, if you fail, get up. There's no, ultimately it's up to you to succeed. Nobody is going to help you. So these are the things that I thought I should share it with all of you. If you have any question, please feel free to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hashir. Let's move on to the question answer session. If anybody has a question, please unmute yourself and ask. Anyone? Muhammad Dawood, yes, please.
So thank you for the great presentation, first of all. So my question is that, let's say that you start from a job that you take up right after graduation, because that's something you have, you don't want to let it go, you take it up, but it's not something you want to pursue in the future, and you don't see a lot of growth opportunities in this particular segment, and you're very clear about what you want to do, but as of now, you don't see a pathway to achieve that. So what would be your recommendation if you find yourself in this situation that you have a job, you don't want to stay in that for a long time, and you know what you want to do, but there is no clear way to achieve that?
So that's a great question, and I think one of the most common scenarios that everybody, including me, faces. So I would recommend stay in that job, keep applying to other jobs, and once you get this current job, you will be surprised that it will help you differentiate you from the others because it will first show that you are employable. A company has put trust in you, and second, even if it's not relevant, the skills will be transferred. For example, you might have worked on projects which are related to that to your next career pathway. So it's easy to switch later on while you are on this current job. It's not final, but I would say don't lose this current opportunity just for the sake of because आपको एक ideal वो pathway नहीं मिला.
We have another question from Hashir Hassan. How to make a career pivot from one non-technical industry to a technical industry? I.e. law to banking, corporate finance roles, how to go about applying since JDs mostly require a bachelor's in accounting and finance or econ.
So just to understand the question, like he is from non-SDSB background or non-accounting and finance background, and he wants to go into corporate banking. Is that right? So I've worked for the corporate banking side for about 1 year, and I can show you that वहाँ पे इतनी salary hike initially नहीं है. So don't have your if you're really passionate about the corporate banking side या investment banking side, so my advice to you initially is to if like at your level they won't ask you very technical questions. You just need to have a basic understanding of corporate finance concepts, or वो भी initially like just go through few financial analysis of the statements which are financial statements. उनका उस लेवल तक आपको आना चाहिए. उससे आगे it's not necessary कि मतलब if you have pursued a course, normally there are a lot of free courses. One I would recommend is Corporate Finance Institute. That the institute is in US और उनका free course है. You can just do that particular course on corporate finance, और उसके बाद you're good to go because they won't ask you very technical, very detailed amount of questions. Again, आपकी stage पे the focus would be on the aptitude, on the attitude part.
Thank you. So there's another question. Sameen Ahmed says, Hi Hashir, thank you for the session. You mentioned that you'll explain that Lump CSO vetted remote job listings at the end. Can you tell me more about that? PS, I graduated from law school last year and I'm currently working on corporate sector on-site job, but want to switch to remote.
So first, there are a lot of companies in the list. Let me show you the list. This is for 2024. So इस list को आप देख लें. Plus join the different Facebook groups of LUMS, like LUMS Alumni Network, LUMS CSO, and there are a lot of LUMS Career Network. So इस तरह के सारे groups हैं. A lot of alumni basically publish the remote jobs on those uh, on those pages, on those Facebook pages. एक तो वो join कर लें. Thirdly, as I mentioned कि LUMS का जो करियर सर्विस ऑफिस का पोर्टल है वहाँ पे भी आपको काफ़ी रिमोट जॉब्स मिलेंगी. सो दिस इज़ द लिस्ट फॉर द जो मैंने अभी शेयर की है फॉर द लम्स. इनमें आप देख लें कि I've seen a lot of I think at least 10 to 15 companies, mostly in the IT sector, जो that hire people remotely. So it's a very comprehensive list, almost like 70 to 80 companies, so you can go through those. I
Okay.
can't.
Mm,
हाँ जी जी
Sorry, Malika says, how do you approach a layoff? A lot of tech companies laid off people due to downsizing. When you apply to a new company, they assume that it was because of your performance and they take it very negatively. How should we deal with this?
That's a great question. In fact, I've been laid off once too, and primarily a startup has laid off me because at that time their funding got restricted. They like 90% of their workforce they removed that, and if if a recruitment manager basically asks you that uh, you are being laid off in layoff normally there is always a news behind it, so I would recommend have that news, take a screenshot of that news and show it to the recruiter कि नहीं भाई मेरा मसला नहीं था पूरी कंपनी the whole ship sitting down तो अगर बात को लेकर कनेक्ट ताकि उन्हें यकीन आ जाए कि वाकई उन्होंने आपको ले सिर्फ आपको नहीं सारों को ले ऑफ किया थर्ड इज यू कैन आस्क देम टू रीच आउट मतलब इसका जवाब ये हो सकता है यू कैन जस्ट टेल देम टू रीच आउट to your company's HR and they can just confirm it. If that is the simplest answer, उसमें तो there is no point of saying के उसके बाद अगर ले ऑफ होता तो अगर टर्मिनेट कंपनी ने आपको किया होता तो वो तो फिर आपको वो एक्सपीरियंस लेटर ना देते लेकिन आपको एक्सपीरियंस लेटर भी उसके बेस पे मिला है प्लस यू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ other perks and benefits that they've given you. तो आइडियली आई वुड रिकमेंड कि अगर इस चीज़ को 100% अवॉइड करना है तो मे बी गेट लेटर फ्रॉम योर कंपनी जिसने आपको ले ऑफ की है कि वी आर लेइंग ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर एम्प्लॉय और वो लेटर आप आगे भी यूज़ कर सकें. इट्स जस्ट अ सजेशन.
So Abdul Mukeet has a question. Yes, Abdul Mukeet.
So, sir, I just want to ask you, you just talked about your own startup you were doing in past years. So, if you could quickly go over what was the idea and how is it going? Are you still working on it, or you just have, stopped working on your startup or idea?
Yes. सो मैंने जो सजेशंस आपको शेयर की थी वो अपने ही एक्सपीरियंस के बेस पे एंड द एक्सपीरियंस while working in similar startups वो ये था कि you need to have sufficient amount of funds to sustain yourself without profit for 3 years. Or yes, I am pursuing that, but on the uh, but जिस तरह मैंने फोकस आपको बोला कि डोंट जस्ट हैव वन पर्टिकुलर सोर्स ऑफ इनकम. अगर आपने 100% टाइम स्टार्टअप को देना है तो एटलीस्ट हैव द फंड्स टू सस्टेन योरसेल्फ फॉर 3 years. अदरवाइज if you don't, then a good strategy is to have multiple sources of income और वहाँ से आप earn करें and then invest that into that particular idea or startup. मेरा basically idea था was to develop a remote management consulting platform driven by AI.
ऑलराइट सर. बट सर एक प्रॉब्लम ये भी है कि आप कह रहे हैं कि वी शुड हैव फंड्स और वगैरह वगैरह, लेकिन विद अ ग्रेट आइडिया, विद अ ग्रेट एग्जीक्यूशन प्लान एंड विद अ ग्रेट टीम, क्या जो वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट हैं और जो एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स हैं उनके थ्रू हमारा स्टार्टअप ग्रो नहीं कर सकता?
2020 और 2021 में तो यस बट अब नहीं.
व्हाई नॉट सर?
Because globally जो the venture capital VCs have started pulling out money from developing markets. एक बड़ा मशहूर Silicon Valley Bank जो एक one of the major banks to finance a lot of startups that got crashed. और उसके बाद a lot of VCs are very careful. और developing market में currently पाकिस्तान में if you are based तो it's quite difficult because considering the economic situation we are facing right now and the nature of the market, उसकी वजह से भी a lot of people are at this stage it's not investor friendly. So that's
Okay.
why I'm saying okay, you need to have those funds first. technologically आप खुद develop करें solution. Secondly, have those funds to uh, pay the salaries of your employees while you're retaining them. And thirdly, जब आपके पास इतनी significant traction आ जाए कि आपके पास आपका business की जो revenue stream है वो stable हो जाए, फिर then you can reach out to VCs and they will definitely invest in you. Not initially. Initially, हमारा आपको खुद खानी है.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you so much.
हाँ जी.
Is there any other question before ending the session? Okay. Yes, Naveed.
Hi, Harshit. Thank you so much for this session. So, my question is basically about it's like related to IT because I am a master's graduate 2024 and I have worked in the software industry for past like almost 5 years. I've also tried freelance. Now I want to move towards starting a business sort of that gives IT services, but where I'm struggling is that in freelance we often see the clients that are short term and also who are like targeting individuals, like they're not targeting businesses as such. So that those products are like really short term. um if you can add any piece of advice for me here, that would be helpful, or any platforms that like have any work for businesses rather than individuals.
So, thank you so much for your question. I will advise you to uh, basically focus on your marketing part because you need to show your existing projects or product portfolio of the projects that you have done. And secondly, don't just rely on the freelancing platforms like Upwork and Fiverr because they're really clouded. So I would recommend go to Flex Jobs or go to LinkedIn. These two are quite good, and you can get uh, clients from there since you have a lot of experience in the IT sector.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think I'll try this.
All right, perfect.
So one last question before we end the session. Anyone? Okay, I think Hashir has very well explained everything. Thank you so much, Hashir. It was crisp, it was very informative, and thank you so much. We would like to thank our audience, and stay tuned um, for the mentorship series. We have amazing topics coming ahead. So yeah, thank you so much, Hashir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. It's been pleasure meeting you all, and I had a wonderful time in learning your perspectives. Trying to have a very, we had a very good discussion. I hope that this will translate into better outcomes for you, inshallah. Thanks.
Inshallah. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Allah Hafiz.